It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnet Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with Barnet Bain.
Wow, that was some conversation.
The problem is it could have gone on for 5 hours.
That could have gone on. That was such a tease because we were just getting warmed to that. And, you know, I've spent some time with Morty, and that man is not a half-hour
I know. I mean, that's the problem with all of our guests is we have these incredible people on and we have to do it in 50 minutes. So it is what it is. Hey, there's a couple pieces, though, I wanted to talk about. We will have him back, but I do want to talk about this distinction.
I want him back live.
I know. We'll do it. When the guy walks in the room and he, let's say, ignores me, or I interpret that he's ignoring me, or whatever happens, I agree that I can go on my own ride about what that is and how I interpret it. But what you were speaking to, there is an energy. So when someone walks in the room and I acknowledge there's an energy, it may not be about me, but I acknowledge that there's an energy, and I'm experiencing my own energy sort of matching up with that person. And I'm talking independent of thoughts. I'm really just talking about the energy game of where I become aware of someone, let's say, entering my field, entering where I'm at energetically. If this is too woo-woo for folks, bear with me. I'm doing the best I can because this is a tricky one where I go, wow. And the only thing I can say is, and we talked about this with my Christmas experience, Barnet, of how I could kind of say, how do I want to meet that energy? How do I want to respond? I saw the knee-jerk response where I could run into a belief in a story and start down that path. And I saw other ways of responding that and I have the experience, Barnet, of diffusing some of it. I mean, I'm not trying to diffuse it. I'm just not reacting or responding energetically and meeting people at that place. So the question you brought up of how about the pain, the unprocessed pain of the woman who's had the abortion, or how about the very real experience of witnessing energy coming at me and trying to say, okay, how do I want to be in relationship to what's showing up for me?
I want to make 2 points here. I'm going
Please.
to try and make them briefly. I can't say hello briefly, but I'm going to do my best. Our listeners know this. So, first of all, you and I operate on this show from a slightly different perspective. There is a paradigm of cause leads to effect.
Right.
The present is the result of the past.
Right.
And then there is a paradigm that you and I are exploring. We're exploring it. I can't unequivocally say I am a master of this, but my life has been dedicated to the exploration of a completely different model that affects, that causes, effects happen first, and we generate causes to support those. So it's completely different. That what I am now is more powerfully determined by where I'm going, where my expectation and intention will be, than where I have been.
Yeah.
And that the degree that it looks otherwise is because I keep dragging around my past experience and throwing it forward as an expectation, and so it looks like the present is the result of the past. So the first.
That was beautifully put. I mean, yes, everything that you just said we've said before, but that was well done. That was brief.
Well, we have. It's a miracle. We have these. We have just as we have common senses.
Yeah.
That allow us to have a relationship with the physical world, sight, sound, taste. We have uncommon senses that are the modulators of what is unseen. And when you speak about somebody coming into the room, or when Morty speaks about our wonderful engineer blowing through the room, when we feel something.
He didn't say it was our engineer. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
did, 'cause he blew through the room. I mean, there are these other calibrations of non-physical reality that we begin. We call them intuition, but we can unpack them.
Yeah.
There's the experience of light, of life. There's the experience of warmth. At one level, warmth is hot, cold to fires are hot and icebergs are cold.
Right.
Then there is a whole other emotional experience of warmth. When I'm sitting with a friend or a stranger, I have an energetic experience of the warmth of that human being. There is the voice of someone, the charisma of someone, whether they are intimate or a stranger. I can have an experience of their aliveness. That could be for a tree. That could be for a can, a rusty can in the street. We have a sense of its mattering. There is a sense of movement. Even in stillness, we know that there is a call to some kind of, to some sort of attractor. In your case, in my case, it's this constant response to this summoning of spirit and of consciousness. And I'm always in response to it, moving closer to it, looking for every way that the way water drains through a sponge, looking for every way to respond to that force of gravity. Well, this is a force equally gravitational, but it is reflected in the movement, even in stillness, that I have in response to that.
It's more of a sensory relationship. So let me offer
It's
this.
a supra-sensory.
Yes.
These are extra senses that are coming on board.
And so one of the ways that you and I have processed is through our heads, which is not bad. It's fine.
It's
but
developmental.
What we're offering, or what you're offering, and I support it, is another whole dimensional way of experiencing, let's call it reality, but that we have a sensory relationship with whatever's showing up in our experience. That it is both a mirror, which again reflects back to all these pieces of us, but it's also an offer. It's an offer of something that we have the ability to generate.
It's an offer to language that you've used in the past, capacity.
Yeah.
To begin to calibrate beyond our logic, beyond our linear thinking. It is, excuse me, it's critical to understand how we choose, how we craft reality through the filters of our thinking and our believing and our choosing and our deciding and our feeling. It's critical to understand that. And at some point when we understand that sufficiently, we will come, or let me to put it more directly, I have come, and I know you have come to the place where we have understood, oh, my goodness, I understand that I create the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't create my response to the whole thing. That's true. And there was a point at which I got to create my whole thing out of my response. Is the cup half empty or half full? I now operate from the assumption, and my life is about discovering more and more how I create the whole thing. I don't just create my response to it. I create the glass.
That's right.
And the story
That's right.
that supports it.
Yeah.
And I create it all in the present moment.
Yeah.
The whole backstory that supports it is generated in the present moment. It is an energetic. Now, I realize some people that I've lost, this is not a better truth or a lesser truth. It is equally true that the present is the result of the past.
Yep.
From my exploration of the present being a result of the future set against the backdrop of the past, that simply allows me to be a little bit more lucid and to have a little bit more and more freedom to discover more and more ways to give love and to receive love. And my world increasingly becomes, and I know this is the same for you, becomes more and more enchanted.
Yeah.
And, we started the show observing how disconnected certainly that I am from being in my body. And my body extends beyond the epidermis here, the skin encapsulated ego. I'm not fully incarnated into that, nor am I fully incarnated into the greater body, which is the world around me.
Yeah.
And that I see as my spiritual journey. This is really what it is about for me.
Yeah.
And allowing being capacious enough to allow for the parts of me that are resistant to that, allow for the parts of me that get triggered to that, allow for the parts of me that say, no, this is the way it is. And if I figure it out by having a process to adjust my thinking or all of these things, the human potential and movement did that and beautifully. And then the early kind of phases of the spirituality movement upped the game and did it beautifully. And there's just, it is infinite learning. It is infinite learning.
And it's also limited by time. We got to say goodbye.
Oh, we're out. We're out of here.
That's it. With that, we want to tell you all to keep coming back.
I thought we were on our podcast. Folks, I'm so...
This goes on.
I don't know. It goes on. We hope that you're with us, and we'll now say goodbye.
And before we say goodbye, we hope that you'll share this with friends and keep coming back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Thanks for listening.